Clive James and I started writing songs together in the late 1960s. Clive writing the lyrics and me writing the music. We wrote lots of them. I made albums, I loved singing them, and I carried on performing them with some pauses in order to make a living in between. But we never lost our love of songs. But we never did have the kind of big commercial success that both of us had always hoped for. Not that that stopped us writing and performing more. However, later in his life, Clive wrote the fourth volume of his unreliable memoirs, and in it he talked about our lack of commercial success, and he blamed himself for writing the wrong kind of lyrics. He said he thought that the unusual nature of his lyrics, the originality of them, was what held us back from commercial success. I disagreed, because I think it's always the music that decides whether a song is successful or not. Somebody once said that there are lots of great songs that have lyrics that are not all that good, but there are no great songs that have music that's not all that good. Nevertheless, we agreed to differ on this, and in 2015, the producer Hayley Redmond went to visit Clive at his home in Cambridge to record him talking about his songs and our relationship for a radio programme. And she asked him about this, and here's a bit of what he said.
I know Pete very kindly thinks that I sell myself short when I say that my idea of a lyric was probably designed to keep us unsuccessful. But there's something to it. I've got a feeling that the kind of lyrics I was doing weren't very commercial, as they used to say in the business. Not at the time, and whether they ever will be, it's hard to know. But he flatteringly found them stimulating, energizing, in fact, because I think they took him in new directions that he didn't expect to go. And I'm fairly sure that some of the things we did together were pretty intense works of art. But I think my view is they're probably for a minority. And of course, in popular music, there's no such thing as a minority. You've got to have a majority or you're dead. Pete thinks otherwise. He thought the music business would change, and I think it has, because in those days, the record contract was everything. And now that's not so. You can more or less go into business for yourself. And I suppose if we were young again, that's what we'd do. And Pete's kind of doing it with this album. So good luck to him and both of us. I'm actually being too humble there in my bit, but that's
yes,
okay.
but that's your style.
That's my style, yeah.
Modesty.
We all know that it's aggressive modesty.
It's just a shame, it's timing, isn't it?
Well, yes.
But I interviewed Bruce Beresford.
Oh, yes.
He was commenting about your songwriting relationship and saying about you could have written with other songwriters, which you mentioned in your chat about seeing Elvis Costello and Jerry Rafferty, and it didn't gel and it didn't work, and this is why it's been so nice between you and Pete, because you understand each other.
Pete might have been slightly pissed off that I mentioned that, wasn't he?
I don't know. He did go silent, didn't he?
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He mentioned it the other day on Friday.
I don't think he knew about it.
You said, I have to confess I met them.
Did I say this? There's nothing I won't say.
Doesn't matter.
I'm drugged out of my head. Yeah.
Are you? Oh. But Bruce Beresford was saying when Tim Rice left Andrew Lloyd Webber, he thought you should have been writing the lyrics with Andrew Lloyd Webber.
I probably would have said yes, but I didn't get asked.
Well, because he didn't know about you writing song lyrics.
No, well, in this business you've really got to be asked. People often would ask us, why didn't you write a musical? Yeah. You've got to wait. You have to be asked. It's.
Did you not publicise the fact that you wrote song lyrics?
Yeah. It wasn't enough. There was no Broadway. What you need is Broadway. You need to go back 100 years.
Oh, I'd love that.
Be in New York, and there's a new musical opening every week. But here, no one's going to take a chance on a new team. I never even thought it would happen.
No.
It's a terrible pity.
But why have you and Pete lasted so long?
Because we were never successful. we made a career out of bubbling under. I think we lasted a long time because we made a career of being unsuccessful, where we spent all this time bubbling under and still are.
But you've got a big following for your songs. How does the audience differ from your poetry?
Well, strangely enough, the poetry audience is bigger because the latest book of poetry is a bestseller. What we always needed, was a hit album, and I think Pete's albums are marvelous. But he himself would be the first to confess that he wouldn't mind at least one of them selling like a Taylor Swift album. He can't actually quite be Taylor Swift, but he wouldn't mind selling like that. I can't rewrite the past, and neither can Pete. But our timing was a bit wrong. Some would say our timing was wrong by about 100 years. We should have been in New York at about the turn of the 20th century.
How do you think you'd have done musicals then?
I guess so, yeah. I don't know.
Like the people you admire?
Might have done nothing else, yeah. There was a big market for it. There has to be a market. I think maybe for the kind of thing we're doing now, the market might be building up. Pete was always very good at searching out the artists who I should be listening to but didn't know about, like Steely Dan and so on. If it was up to me, I never would have found them. And I think probably he falls into that category of things that are treasured and admired, but you have to be told about them.
Yeah.
Dylan is a good example of the importance of the market, because his first album hardly sold anything. It sold one copy in every record store in America, a few thousand copies. It wasn't until John Hammond took him over and realised the importance of getting cover versions that Dylan took off. It was the cover versions that hauled Dylan into prominence. It usually takes someone with a real first-class brain working on your behalf, and those people are hard to find.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love the songs to be remembered. I know some people remember them, but of course I'd like everybody to remember them, if only to admire Pete's melodies. I was listening to Taylor Swift the other day, and she does look a bit better when she's dancing than Pete does. I have to admit it. But you see, I watch my little granddaughter jumping around with earphones on, listening to "We're Never Going to Get Back Together." Never ever going to get back together. Great song. I thought, yeah, that's great. That's terrific. It would be great to have that kind of impact.
Who, if you could have anyone to sing your songs, who would be your perfect person? Who's famous to put them on the?
Pete's number one, but I always liked how the hardcore original versions better than the cover versions. The way the band sang "The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down" is terrific, and the way Joan Baez sang the cover version is unbearable. I like the original raw, rough cut versions. So Pete's the right man.